I suppose if I look back over, since actually 2000 when I was first selected as a candidate, 2001 when I was first elected in the last Parliament, I think the thing I hope I've made the biggest difference over is the future of the hospital. We've had march after march, we've had petitions, we've had campaigns. There have been a number of attempts over the past 10 years, particularly to close Epsom's A&E and maternity departments. And in each case, so far, fingers crossed, touch wood and the rest, we've managed to fight off those attempts. I think my hope is that we can all make a difference. We inherit a pretty difficult situation if we do win, the biggest peacetime budget deficit in our history. We have a huge range of social challenges and social issues in many parts of the country we need to address. I think my hope would be that we can all pull together and over the course of a Parliament we can deliver real change, more decisions taken locally, more impact on social problems and a big impact on the budget deficit.
And what do you think is the single most important issue in Epsom and Ewell at the moment?
I think there's a couple of really big issues. I think obviously the whole state of Epsom Hospital is a massively critical issue, but alongside that I also think education and the transfer of school places and the whole transport agenda are really key issues to the future of Epsom. And actually I think people are starting to see the Lib Dems for who they are and starting to realise that this race in Epsom is very much between the Tories and the Lib Dems, and actually the Lib Dems genuinely would make a significant difference standing on the whole fairness agenda, and that could really impact into people locally in Epsom and Ewell. I think Ashtead's a really critical area. I think the whole debate around Tesco's building a superstore there is a really key thing, and I think unfortunately that's what's come through because of some of Labour's planning laws and what they've set up as their government. And actually if we got into power we would reform the whole of the planning debate, so actually it becomes local people that make those key decisions. We need to protect our small unique high streets within this country, and Ashtead is critical in that part.
It's absolutely vital we maintain that support for families and businesses to help them through the tough times. The economy is now growing, but it's the growth is still fragile, and we need to all the G20 countries say that we need to maintain that growth. Only the Conservatives want to kick the stool away at this stage.
And is there anything of particular importance to Ashtead?
What's needed is a mix of shopping experiences for people in Ashtead. I've been into the existing Tesco's in Ashtead, and it's very busy. So clearly there's a market for people who want supermarket shopping in that area, but still at the same time we've got to preserve the local shops and businesses in that area. What we've got to bear in mind as well is, as the economy returns to growth, if Tesco's is coming there and creating hundreds of jobs, that's got to be in favour of that development. But we need to think carefully about the planning issues that have very rightly been raised.
I didn't go into politics until recently. I came in through the referendum party, and the more I learnt about the European Union, the more angry I got, and there seemed to be no one I could go to and no way to tell. So I joined the party that gave me a chance to go and speak to people and give out information that the media at the time wasn't allowed to be telling us.
And why should people vote for you as opposed to Chris Grayling or any of the other candidates?
I hate saying things like that because actually I really rate Chris Grayling, but unfortunately their parties are all saying the same thing, and while they really mean well, they're never telling us where the money's going, and they never admit how many laws are not made by them. And I think that kind of secrecy shouldn't be allowed in this day and age. We should know where it's coming from, and so we're the only party who have an open book to tell you about the 45 million a day that we waste.
I really like to see the banks and insurance companies and pension companies and so on very strictly regulated, earning much less money. The banks separated, the high street banks separated from the investment banks, and the bankers taxed quite heavily.
Okay, what do you think is the single most important issue in Epsom and Ewell at the moment?
Well, in Epsom and Ewell, probably the most dominant issue is the future of Epsom Hospital. Epsom is practically a focal point for a large area of North Surrey around about. And if Epsom Hospital wasn't successful, then people from Dorking, Banstead, and all around North Surrey would have to go long distances to East Surrey Hospital in Redhill, to St Helier in Sutton, to Guildford Hospital, which very inconveniently for long distances for people for emergencies and the like.